During an Aspen family vacation, my brother locked me and my 8-year-old daughter in a freezing garage with no coats while taking his kids to a private sleigh ride. He snapped, "Stay with the luggage, where you belong." Mom added, "Real grandkids ride up front." 45 minutes later, someone knocked on the garage door and my brother's face turned gray. The garage door came down at 2:03 p.m., and the sound it made was the sound of a metal door on a track descending on a concrete floor in a rental house in Aspen, Colorado, where the temperature outside was 28 degrees and the temperature inside the garage was 31 degrees, and the difference between outside and inside was 3 degrees. Which is the difference between freezing and almost freezing, and the almost is not a comfort when you are standing in the almost with your 8-year-old daughter and no coats. Fable was holding my hand. She was wearing the sweater she had worn in the car, a gray wool pullover that covers her arms and her torso and nothing else. Because her coat was in the trunk of Ines' SUV, and the trunk was on the other side of the garage door, and the garage door was down, and the down was not mechanical. The down was my brother's hand on the button inside the house, the button that closes the garage from the interior, and the hand was deliberate, and the button was pressed, and the pressing was the last thing Ines did before walking his 2 children to the private sleigh ride that departed from the rental house's front porch at 2:05 p.m. In her other hand, Fable was holding a drawing, a snowflake, blue crayon on white paper. She had drawn it during the 4-hour drive from Fort Collins to Aspen, sitting in the back seat of my Civic with a clipboard on her lap and the concentration of a girl who draws the way other children talk, constantly, precisely, and with the belief that the drawing is the way she enters the world, and the world will receive her if the lines are right. The snowflake had 6 arms. Each arm had a different pattern. The drawing was her trip preparation, the way an 8-year-old arrives at a vacation before the vacation begins, and the arriving was in the crayon, and the crayon was blue, and the blue was the color of the snow she expected to play in, and the snow was on the other side of the garage door, and the door was closed. 2 minutes before the door came down, we were in the driveway. The family had arrived in 2 cars, my Civic and Ines' Tahoe. The rental house was a 5-bedroom chalet at the end of Conundrum Creek Road, $1,680 per night, 5 nights, $8,400 total, charged to my Visa on October 15th when I booked it through the property management company because Oriel had said Tove. "You are so good at finding places. Book something nice for the family," and the finding was mine, and the booking was mine, and the nice was $8,400, and the $8,400 was mine. Ines was unloading the Tahoe. His wife, Jonna, was carrying the kids' ski gear inside. His 2 children, ages 10 and 7, were already in the house selecting bedrooms. Oriel was standing on the porch with the specific posture of a woman who has arrived at a vacation she did not pay for and is surveying the property as if the surveying is the contribution. Braun was behind Oriel, carrying a cooler. He had not spoken since the last gas stop in Glenwood Springs. Braun's silence on family trips is not the silence of disagreement. It is the silence of a man who has learned that his voice changes nothing, and that the changing is done by Oriel, and the doing is done to me, and the doing has been happening for 31 years. Fable and I were walking toward the front door when Ines stepped in front of us. He was holding the garage remote in his right hand. The remote he had taken from the lockbox at check-in, the lockbox whose code I had received in my confirmation email because the booking was mine, and the code was sent to the booking contact, and the booking contact was me. "Stay with the luggage where you belong, Tove. You and Fable can wait in the garage until we get back. The sleigh ride fits 6, and the 6 are the people who matter. Your kid draws pictures and hides behind your leg. My kids ski. My kids ride. Your kid is cargo. And cargo stays in the garage." The sentence landed in the driveway in front of 6 people: Braun, Oriel, Yana, Ines' 2 children, and Fable, who was standing next to me with the snowflake drawing in her left hand and my hand in her right, and the look on her face that 8-year-olds get when an adult has said something about them that the 8-year-old does not understand but can feel. And the feeling is the feeling of being smaller than the sentence, and the sentence was large, and the sentence called her cargo. Oriel added the second line from the porch. She did not step down. She did not walk to us. She spoke from above, the elevation of a woman who delivers verdicts from porches and doorways and the heads of tables, the elevation that has been her preferred altitude for every family pronouncement since I was a girl. Real grandkids ride up front. Fable can play with the suitcases. Real grandkids. The word real applied to children who share the same blood, the same last name, the same grandmother, and the same Christmas. Innes's children are real. Fable is not. The not real is not biology. The not real is the judgment of a grandmother who measures grandchildren by their volume, their activity level, and the income of their parent. And the measuring has placed Fable in the garage with the luggage, because Fable draws pictures and the pictures are quiet, and the quiet is not the metric Oriel values. Innes pressed the garage remote. The door went up. He gestured with his hand, the gesture a man makes when directing traffic or pointing livestock toward a pen. In, both of you. We will be back in 90 minutes. I walked into the garage. I walked in because Fable was cold, and the garage was 3 degrees warmer than the driveway, and the 3 degrees were the only degrees available, and the alternative was standing in the driveway while the family drove away on a sleigh ride I paid for. Fable walked in with me. The garage door came down behind us. The motor hummed. The door hit the concrete. The click of the latch was the sound of a lock that was not a lock, but functioned as one, because the garage door could only be opened from inside the house or with the remote. And the remote was in Innes's pocket, and Innes was walking toward the sleigh departure point with 2 children who are real and a mother who rides up front. The garage was dark. One window high on the wall, letting in gray aspen light, concrete floor, cold enough to feel through the soles of Fable's boots. 3 suitcases stacked against the far wall, 2 ski bags belonging to Innes's children, the children who ride and ski and are real. A cooler that Braun had set down before walking inside without looking back. The temperature on the wall thermometer, the kind that rental houses mount near the water heater for maintenance reference, read 31 degrees. 31. 3 degrees above freezing. And my daughter's coat was in the back of Innes's Tahoe, parked in the driveway, on the other side of the door that my brother closed with the remote he took from the lockbox whose code was sent to my email, because the booking was mine, and the code was mine, and the house was mine, and the only thing that was not mine was the decision to lock us in the garage. And that decision belonged to my brother. Fable looked at me. Mom, why are we in the garage? The question came out the way 8-year-old questions come out, directly, without blame, and with the expectation that the mother will have an answer because mothers always have answers, and the answer will make the garage make sense. The garage did not make sense. No answer could make it make sense. But the question deserved a response, and the response was the only warmth I could provide that was not body heat. We are not going to be in the garage for long, baby. It is cold. I know. Come here. I pulled her to me. I wrapped my arms around her. The sweater was not enough. Her arms were bare below the elbows. Her fingers were cold. I took her hands and put them inside my sleeves, the way a mother creates warmth from proximity when the warmth from fabric is not available, and the proximity was the only insulation between an 8-year-old's fingers and 31 degrees. She held the snowflake drawing against my chest, the paper crinkled, the blue crayon lines pressed against my shirt. And the drawing that was supposed to be the beginning of a vacation was now being held in a garage where the girl who drew it had been called cargo by her uncle and not real by her grandmother. I had my phone. It was in my back pocket. The phone that Ines did not think about, because Ines does not think about the things the luggage carries. Welcome to Family Secret Tales, where the person who books the house decides who stays in it, and the brother who locked his sister in the garage forgot that the booking confirmation is in her email and the property management number is in her phone. If your family has ever locked you in a room and called your child cargo, subscribe now. Because the garage is cold and the phone is warm and the property manager's number is one call away. My name is Tove Arden. I am 31 years old. I am a bookkeeper at Ridgeline Accounting in Fort Collins, Colorado. I manage ledgers, reconcile bank statements, process payroll for small businesses, and track every dollar that enters and exits a financial system. My salary is $52,000 a year. My family calls my work adding numbers as if the numbers add themselves and the woman who balances 12 client accounts per month is just pressing buttons on a calculator. My coworker Kel is 46. She has been in accounting for 22 years. She is the person who said, when I told her I was booking the Aspen rental for the family, if you are paying for the house and nobody else is contributing, you are not booking a family vacation. You are funding someone else's vacation and attending as staff. Kel was right. I was staff, and the staff just got locked in the garage. When I called Kel from the garage at 2:12 p.m., she answered from her apartment in Fort Collins with the immediate attention of a woman who hears a friend's voice echoing off concrete. Are you in a garage? Ines locked me and Fable in the garage at the rental house. The coats are in his car. The temperature is 31 degrees. Fable is shivering. You booked that house. I booked the house. I paid for the house. The confirmation is in my email. Then call the property management company right now. Cancel the booking. Request someone to open the garage. And then call the police. He locked a child in a freezing garage and drove away. That is not a family disagreement, Tove. That is a crime. Kel is the reason I track numbers. Kel is the reason I document. Kel is the reason I know that the woman who manages the ledger manages the outcome, and the outcome of this ledger is a canceled rental and a police report and a family that is about to learn the temperature of a bookkeeper's response. The favoritism in my family is structural. It was built before I understood what structure meant. Ines was born when I was 3, and the birth reorganized the family the way a new client reorganizes an accounting firm, all resources redirected, all attention reallocated, and the existing accounts, which is me, moved to the secondary ledger. When Ines played soccer, Braun drove him to every game. When I asked for art classes, Oriel said we cannot afford extras right now. The extras she could not afford for me cost $40 a month. The soccer registration for Ines cost $280 per season, plus cleats, plus travel. The math was not about affordability. The math was about priority, and the priority was the son. And the son has been the priority for 28 years, and the priority has produced a man who locks his sister in a garage and calls her daughter cargo, because the priority has never been questioned, and the not questioning is the permission. Fable is 8. She is the quietest person in any room she enters. And the quiet is not shyness. The quiet is attention. Fable watches before she speaks. She draws before she acts. She processes the room the way a bookkeeper processes a ledger, line by line, entry by entry, until the balance is understood. Her drawings are not doodles. They are observations. She drew the front of the rental house from the car window before we pulled into the driveway. The pencil moving across the paper with the concentration of a girl who sees the world in lines and angles and the specific distance between a roof peak and a tree line that most adults do not notice. Oriel has never hung one of Fable's drawings on her refrigerator. Ines's children's report cards are on the fridge. Their swim ribbons are on the fridge. Their school photos are on the fridge. Fable's drawings are in a folder in Oriel's desk drawer, the drawer that contains things Oriel keeps but does not display. the drawer where receipts go and expired coupons go, and the art of the granddaughter who is not real goes, filed alphabetically under F for fable or T for throwaway, whichever comes first. My ex-husband moved to Arizona 2 years ago. He sends child support of $680 per month. The $680 is the only financial contribution he makes to Fable's life. The rest is mine. Every crayon, every drawing pad, every blue crayon snowflake on white paper. Mine. What my family does not know is what I pay for. The Aspen rental, $8,400, 5 nights, 5 bedrooms, my card, my booking, my confirmation email, my check-in code. The house where my brother locked me in the garage is a house whose every dollar came from the woman he told to stay with the luggage. The private sleigh ride, $1,800. A 6-person horse-drawn sleigh through the Maroon Bells Valley, booked by me, paid by me, enjoyed by 6 people who are not me and not my daughter, the 6 people who matter. The 6 people who ride up front while the booking holder sits in a garage holding her daughter and a snowflake drawing. Parents' health insurance supplement, $280 a month for 3 years. $10,080. Braun's employer insurance ended when he took early retirement at 57. The COBRA coverage was $1,400 a month. Braun could afford $120. The gap was $280. The gap was mine. 3 years. The gap that keeps my parents' prescriptions filled and their doctor visits covered is funded by the daughter whose child was called not real by the mother whose prescriptions the daughter pays for. Innes's gym membership, $150 a month for 2 years. $3,600, because Innes told me his kids needed a gym with a climbing wall and a swim program, and the family membership was $150, and the $150 was temporary until my raise comes through, and the raise came through 8 months ago, and the payments continued because I did not cancel them, and Innes did. Not mention the raise, and the $150 kept leaving my account and arriving at a gym that trains the children Oriel calls real while the child she calls cargo draws snowflakes in the back seat of a Civic. Total invisible support, $8,400 rental plus $1,800 sleigh ride plus $10,080 insurance plus $3,600 gym. $23,880 from the woman who adds numbers to the family that locks her in a garage. The 45 minutes. I held Fable for the first 4 minutes. Her shivering was the low, continuous kind, the kind that starts when the body has been cold long enough to move past the initial shock and into the sustained response. And the sustained response is the body's way of generating heat from muscle movement, because the environment is not providing heat, and the environment is a 31-degree garage with concrete walls and a metal door and one window that lets in light but not warmth. Minute 5, I took out my phone. I called Aspen Police Department, non-emergency line. I reported an 8-year-old child and an adult locked in an unheated garage at a rental property, temperature 31 degrees, no coats, child shivering, locked from inside the house by a family member who departed for a recreational activity. I provided the address, the child's name and age, and my name. The dispatcher said an officer would be sent. Minute 8, I called the property management company, Alpine Peak Rentals. I identified myself as the booking holder for the property at 4418 Conundrum Creek Road, booking reference APR 7192. I requested 2 things. First, a staff member to come to the property and open the garage door from the exterior access panel. Second, immediate cancellation of the booking, with the deposit refunded to the card on file. The property manager, a woman named Tressa, asked why I needed the garage opened from outside. I said my brother locked me and my 8-year-old daughter in the garage from inside the house. We have been in here for 10 minutes. The temperature is 31 degrees. We do not have coats. Tressa said, I am sending someone now. and the cancellation is processed. I am so sorry. The cancellation was confirmed at 2:16 p.m. $8,400 refunded to my Visa. The property was flagged for immediate vacate. The vacate notice would be delivered by the staff member who was coming to open the garage. Minute 12, I called the sleigh ride company, Maroon Valley Outfitters. I identified myself as the booking holder. I canceled the remaining rides. $1,200 refunded for the 3 remaining sessions. The sleigh ride currently in progress would complete, but the family would return to a property they no longer had access to. I almost did not call the police. The garage was cold but not dangerous yet. Fable was shivering but not in distress. The property manager was coming. The door would open in 20 minutes. The police felt like an escalation. But Fable's hands stopped me. Her fingers were inside my sleeves and her fingers were cold, and the cold was the cold of an 8-year-old whose uncle locked her in a garage and called her cargo, and whose grandmother said she was not a real grandchild, and the not real was the word that required a report, because the word was the intent, and the intent was to put a child in a freezing space and leave her there while the real. Children rode a sleigh. An intent plus a child plus 31 degrees is not a family matter. It is a police matter. I almost did not cancel the rental. The family was here for 5 nights. Canceling on day 1 would strand 7 people in Aspen without lodging. Hotels in Aspen in December start at $600 per night. The cost of relocating 7 people would be enormous. But the snowflake stopped me. Fable's drawing. The blue crayon snowflake that was pressed against my chest. The drawing of a girl who spent 4 hours in a car preparing for a trip that lasted 11 minutes before she was locked in a garage. The snowflake was the trip. The trip was in the garage. And the garage was the last place any child should be when the snow is outside and the sleigh is departing and the grandmother says the real grandkids ride up front. I almost let the booking stand and just took Fable to a hotel, the quiet exit, the one that does not create a scene, the one that lets the family enjoy their vacation while the bookkeeper and her daughter find somewhere else to stay. But the word cargo stopped me. Cargo, the word innis used for my daughter. Cargo stays in the garage. Cargo does not ride. Cargo does not ski. Cargo is moved and stored and forgotten. My daughter is not cargo. My daughter is a girl with a blue crayon and a snowflake and a hand that fits inside mine, and the garage where the cargo was stored was booked and paid for by the cargo's mother, and the mother was about to cancel the storage facility. Minute 45, 2:45 p.m. The knock came from the outside of the garage door. Not a pound, a knock. Professional, 3 knocks. The knock of a property management employee who has been dispatched to open a garage door from the exterior access panel and deliver a vacate notice to a property whose booking has been canceled by the person who is locked inside the garage. Ms. Arden? This is Marcus from Alpine Peak Rentals. I am going to open the garage door now. The door went up. The motor hummed. The gray aspen light came in. The air outside was 28 degrees, which was 3 degrees colder than the garage, but felt warmer, because the outside came with sky and light and the specific relief of a door opening when the door has been closed for 45 minutes. Fable stepped out first. Her hands were red. Her arms were covered in goosebumps. Her sweater was damp from pressing against me for 45 minutes. The snowflake drawing was wrinkled but intact, held in the hand that had not let go of it since the door came down. Marcus looked at Fable. He looked at her bare arms. He looked at the garage thermometer, which he walked inside to read. 31 degrees. He looked at me. Are you both okay? We are cold. We need coats. And we need the vacate notice delivered to the current occupants. Marcus handed me the notice. 1 page. Alpine Peak Rentals letterhead. Booking a par 7192 has been canceled by the booking holder. All guests must vacate the property by 6 p.m. today. Failure to vacate will result in trespass notification to local law enforcement. Welcome back to Family Secret Tales. If you are the mother who was locked in a freezing garage with her daughter by a brother who called her cargo and a mother who said real grandkids right up front, hit subscribe. Because the garage is open, and the police are coming, and the vacate notice is in my hand, and the family that locked us in the cold is about to come home to a house they no longer have. The police officer arrived at 2:50 p.m. Officer Daniels. He took my statement in the driveway. He examined Fable's hands, which were red and cold but warming. He noted the garage temperature. He asked how long we had been locked in. 45 minutes. He asked who locked the garage. My brother, Innes Arden. He asked if the locking was intentional. I said, he pressed the button and told us to stay with the luggage. Officer Daniels wrote that down. He said a report would be filed with the Pitkin County Sheriff's Office and that the incident would be classified as child endangerment, which in Colorado is a misdemeanor under CR's 18-6-401. The sleigh ride returned at 3:30 p.m. The horse-drawn sleigh came up Conundrum Creek Road with bells on the harness and snow on the runners and 6 people inside who had spent 90 minutes in the Maroon Bells Valley breathing cold air by choice, the choice that was not offered to the 2 people in the garage who breathed cold air without choice. Innes saw the police cruiser first, then the property management van. Then me, standing in the driveway with Fable next to me and Officer Daniels next to us and the vacate notice in my hand. His face went from vacation red to gray in the time it takes a man to connect a police car to a driveway, to a sister, to a garage, to a report to the realization that the 90 minutes of sleigh ride had cost him the house and the vacation and possibly more. What is going on? You locked my daughter in a 31-degree garage for 45 minutes with no coat. I called the police. I called the property manager. And I canceled the rental. This is the vacate notice. Everyone must be out by 6 p.m. You canceled the house? On day 1? We just got here. You locked my daughter in a garage, Innes, on day 1. We just got here, and you put us in a garage with the suitcases and told us to stay where we belong. The house is canceled because the person who booked the house and paid for the house was locked in the garage of the house by the person who was supposed to be her brother. It was the garage, not a freezer. She had a sweater. She had a sweater because her coat was in your car. Her coat was in your car because you took her coat inside with the luggage and then closed the garage door with us in it. She is 8 years old, Innes, 31 degrees, 45 minutes, a sweater, and a drawing of a snowflake she made in the car because she was excited about this trip, the trip you locked her out of before the first hour was over. Innes looked at the police cruiser. He looked at Officer Daniels. He looked at the vacate notice in my hand. The gray in his face was deepening. The gray of a man whose vacation has become an investigation and whose sister, the quiet one, the one who adds numbers, the one who books the house and cooks the Thanksgiving turkey and pays the gym membership and stays in the background where the background is useful, has stepped out of the background and into the driveway with a police report and a cancellation confirmation, and a daughter whose hands are still red. Oriel stepped off the sleigh. She had been sitting in the back of the sleigh during this exchange with the posture of a woman who is waiting for the situation to resolve itself, because situations involving me always resolve themselves because I always back down, and the backing down is what Oriel expects, and the expectation is 31 years old. You cannot cancel a family vacation because of a garage. Tove, the garage was 31 degrees. Mom, Fable, was in it for 45 minutes. Without a coat, without gloves, without access to the house you were inside of. You said real grandkids ride up front. You said Fable could play with the suitcases. My daughter is not a suitcase. My daughter is a child. And the child was locked in a freezing garage by the uncle who called her cargo and endorsed by the grandmother who called her not real. She was fine. Children play in garages all the time. Children play in garages when the garage is open and the children choose to be there and the temperature is not 31 degrees and the children have coats and the children have access to the house and the children are not locked in by an uncle who took a sleigh ride while they sat on concrete. Fable did not play in the garage. Fable shivered in the garage. There is a difference. And the difference is in the police report that Officer Daniels just filed. I looked at Innes. Let me give you the numbers, Innes, because numbers are what I do. $8,400 for this rental. 5 nights. My card. My booking. My confirmation email. My check-in code. $1,800 for the sleigh ride you just took. My card. My booking. The ride that fit 6 and the 6 did not include the woman who paid for it. I held up a second finger. $10,080 in health insurance supplements for mom and dad. $280 a month for 3 years, from my paycheck to their prescriptions. The prescriptions that dad fills at King Soopers every month at a copay of $45 instead of $210, because the daughter who adds numbers is the daughter who covers the difference. Third finger. $3,600 for your gym membership, $150 a month for 2 years. The gym where your kids climb and swim and train. The gym whose membership is paid by the aunt whose daughter you called cargo. I held up 3 fingers. Total, $23,880 from the woman who adds numbers, to the family that locked her in a garage with the luggage. Innes's hands went to his jacket zipper. The fidgeting of a man whose hands need something to do because the hands that pressed the garage button are now hearing the cost of the pressing. And the cost is $23,880 and a police report and a vacate notice. The house is in my name. The sleigh ride was my card. The police report is filed. You are the luggage now. The killing line landed in the driveway the way a vacate notice lands on a counter, flat, official, and non-negotiable. Braun sat down on the porch step, the sitting of a man whose vacation has ended on day 1 and whose silence has been the permission that allowed the garage, and the silence is the most expensive thing he has not said in 31 years. Oriel's hand went to the porch railing. The gripping of a woman whose porch is not her porch, and whose rental is not her rental, and whose word real is now in a police report alongside the word endangerment. Innes stepped forward. His voice dropped. The voice of a man who is switching from defense to negotiation. I will give you and Fable the master suite, Tove the whole trip, and I will book a separate sleigh ride just for her. Private, just Fable. Whatever she wants. You locked my daughter in a 31-degree garage and called her cargo. A master suite does not undo a police report. The rental is canceled. The vacate notice is in your hand. Find your own Aspen. Officer Daniels stepped forward. He asked Innes to provide a statement. Innes said, "She went in voluntarily." Officer Daniels checked his notes. The booking holder states you directed her and the child into the garage and closed the door with the remote from inside the house. The garage can only be opened from the interior panel or with the remote which you retained. That is confinement. Innes did not respond. The not responding was the silence of a man whose statement has been contradicted by a police officer's notes and a property manager's report and a booking holder's confirmation email. And the confirmation email is the most damaging document because the email shows who booked the house and who paid for the house and who was locked in the garage of the house. And the who is the same person for all 3. The insurance supplement is canceled. The gym membership is canceled. The sleigh rides are canceled, and the house you are standing in front of is no longer yours. It was never yours. It was mine. The booking was mine, the payment was mine, and the cancellation is mine. You called my daughter cargo, you called her not real, you locked her in a garage, and the garage is the last room in any house that I will ever pay for this family to use. They packed in silence. The packing took 2 hours. Ines loaded the Tahoe without speaking. Jana loaded the ski gear without looking at me. Oriel carried her suitcase to the car with the posture of a woman who is leaving a vacation she arrived at 4 hours ago and whose 4 hours produced a police report, a vacate notice, and the cancellation of $23,880 in financial support from the daughter she told to stay with the luggage. Braun was the last to leave. He stopped at the end of the driveway. He looked at Fable, who was standing next to me wrapped in a blanket Marcus had brought from the property management office. He looked at the blanket. He looked at the garage door, which was still open, the mouth of the space where his granddaughter had spent 45 minutes and 31 degrees because his son pressed a button and his wife said real grandkids ride up front and he said nothing. He got in the car. He closed the door. The closing was the quietest sound Braun had made all day, and the quiet had been his contribution to everything. The fallout was legal and financial, and it arrived in the order that vacations collapse when the person who funded them removes the funding. First the house, then the schedule, then the money, then the reputation. The Pitkin County Sheriff's Office filed the report, Child Endangerment under CRs 18-6401. The report included the property address, the garage temperature, the duration, the child's physical condition, and the statement from the booking holder that the garage door was closed by Ines Arden using the garage remote and that the child and her mother were directed to remain in the garage. Ines received a summons by mail 2 weeks later. The summons required a court appearance in Aspen, 4 hours from his home in Denver. The attorney retainer was $4,000. The drive was 8 hours round trip. The day off work was 1 day of pharmaceutical sales commissions lost. And the court appearance was the cost of pressing a button and calling a child cargo, and the cost was accumulating the way legal costs accumulate, one document at a time, each document more expensive than the last. Aspen hotels in December are not affordable. The family searched for lodging on day 1 while packing. Ines found 2 rooms at a hotel in Glenwood Springs, 40 miles from Aspen, at $220 per night. The remaining 4 nights cost $1,760 for 2 rooms shared by 7 people. The $10,760 was Ines's credit card, the first vacation expense Ines had paid in 3 years, and the paying was the shape of a booking holder's absence. The insurance supplement was canceled the following Monday. $280 a month. I called my insurance company and removed the supplemental payment effective immediately. Braun's next prescription refill showed the copay increase from $45 to $210 for the blood pressure medication alone. The $210 was the retail copay without the supplement, and the retail was the cost of a man's silence on a porch when his wife said real grandkids and his son pressed the button and the man said nothing. The gym membership was canceled the same day, $150 a month. Ines's children were withdrawn from the climbing wall program and the swim sessions within 2 weeks because Ines could not absorb $150 on top of the $1,160 hotel bill and the $4,000 attorney retainer and the insurance increase for his car that was coming next month when I moved his policy. The kids who were real enough to ride the sleigh were not funded enough to climb the wall, and the not funding was the aunt's, and the aunt was done funding the family that called her daughter cargo. I posted one photo to the family group chat on day 2. The photo was taken inside the garage before Marcus opened the door. Fable sitting on the concrete floor in her gray sweater with the snowflake drawing in her hand and the garage thermometer visible on the wall behind her, reading 31. The caption was one line, "This is where the real grandkids put us." 31 degrees, 45 minutes, no coats. The booking holder is done. Aunt Marlene responded first. Oriel, what is this? Uncle Dean responded second. Is that Fable on a concrete floor? Oriel did not respond. Innes did not respond. Braun did not respond. Jana did not respond. The photo sat in the chat the way a ledger entry sits in an account, permanent, dated, and visible to every member who opens the chat, which is 14 family members. And 14 family members now had a photo of an 8-year-old on a garage floor in 31 degrees, held by a magnet of evidence that no caption could contest. 2 weeks later. Estes Park, Colorado, 90 minutes from Fort Collins. A cabin rental. 1 bedroom. $145 per night for 2 nights. $290 total. Booked by me. Paid by me. Confirmed in my email. The booking was for 2 people. Both people were in the cabin. Both people were warm. Both people had coats. The cabin was small, smaller than the garage at the Aspen Chalet. The cabin's square footage was less than the square footage of the 5-bedroom rental I had booked for the family, and the less was the point because the less was mine and the mine was not shared with a family that locks children in garages and calls them cargo and decides which grandchildren are real. The kitchen was small. The counter had enough room for a coffee maker and a cutting board and Fable's crayon box. The bedroom had 1 queen bed that Fable and I shared, the way we share every bed on every trip, because the sharing is the trip, and the trip is the 2 of us, and the 2 of us is enough, and has always been enough, and was enough before the garage, and is enough after. Snow was falling outside the window. The kind of snow that falls in Estes Park in December, slow, quiet, thick enough to cover the porch railing in 20 minutes and the car roof in 30. The snow did not know we were here. The snow did not care which cabin it fell on or which children were inside. The snow fell on the $145 per night cabin the same way it fell on the $1,680 per night chalet. And the falling was equal, and the equal was the point. Fable was sitting at the cabin's kitchen table with a clipboard and a box of crayons and a sheet of white paper. She was drawing a snowflake, a new one, blue crayon, 6 arms, different patterns from the first one. The first snowflake had been drawn in the car on the way to Aspen with the anticipation of a girl arriving at a vacation. This snowflake was being drawn at a table in a cabin with the calm of a girl who is already where she needs to be. The first snowflake, the one from the car ride to Aspen, the one she held in the garage for 45 minutes, the one that was pressed against my chest while her fingers warmed inside my sleeves, was on the refrigerator at home in Fort Collins, held by a magnet shaped like a mountain that I bought at a gas station in Idaho Springs on the drive home from Aspen. The drawing was wrinkled from the garage. The crayon was smudged in one corner where her thumb had pressed too hard against my shirt. The wrinkles and the smudge were the garage, and the garage was part of the drawing now the way the garage was part of the trip, which is, it happened. And the happening is in the paper, and the paper survived, and the surviving is the story. This snowflake was different. This snowflake was for this cabin. This snowflake was drawn at a table where the girl had a chair and the chair was hers and the table was hers and the crayons were hers and the window was full of mountains and the mountains were full of snow and the snow was the same snow that had been in Aspen, but the snow did not know. The difference, because snow falls on cabins the same way it falls on chalets, completely, quietly, and without deciding which children are real. Fable looked up from the drawing. Mom, can I hang this one on the fridge too? You can hang every one you draw, even if they are wrinkled. Wrinkled ones go first. She smiled, the smile of an 8-year-old who has been told that the wrinkled things, the things that have been through something, the things that have survived a garage and a cold floor and a grandmother who said she was not real, are the things that go on the refrigerator first. The wrinkled go first. The cargo goes first. The not real goes first. Because the first is the place the mother decides, and the mother's refrigerator is the gallery, and the gallery does not have a garage. She went back to the crayon. The blue moved across the paper. The 6 arms grew, the patterns filled in, and the girl who was called Cargo by her uncle and not real by her grandmother was sitting at a table drawing a snowflake for a trip that included her, at a cabin that was booked for her, in a chair that was pulled out for her, and the drawing was not wrinkled, and the crayon was not smudged, and the girl was not in a garage. The girl was at a table. The table was warm. And the warm was enough. Welcome back to Family Secret Tales. If this story reminded you that the person who books the house decides who stays in it, and that a child with a crayon and a snowflake is not cargo, share it tonight. Hit subscribe, drop a comment, and tell me, has your family ever locked you out of a vacation you paid for and called your child not real? I will see you in the next one.